It's no secret that the pharmaceutical industry is big business, with many companies vying for market share in a highly competitive and extremely lucrative industry. Despite this, however, whilst the intention of pharmaceuticals is to help people manage their health and wellness, there is also a growing concern that some companies may be more interested in intentionally creating long-term dependence on their products, rather than actually curing and preventing disease. In continuation to this series, this time we're going behind the scenes of Big Pharma and asking, is there really an agenda to keep people addicted? Well, the obvious thing that you're probably thinking at this point is, why would big pharmaceutical companies wish to keep people addicted? Surely it would be better for their brands if people were cured of illness and customers then gave glowing reviews, right? Well, there's actually some seriously disgusting reasons why Big Pharma would want to keep people addicted. One of the main ones being financial gain. As always, it boils down to money. Prescription drugs are a big business and generate billions of dollars each year, and whilst many drugs are necessary to help people manage their chronic conditions, with epidemics like the opioid crisis emerging in recent years, there is also a growing concern that some drugs may be being overprescribed and used for conditions where they are simply not necessary. This can of course create a cycle of dependence, meaning that patients feel like they need drugs to manage their symptoms, even if there may be better solutions out there. And whilst this connection can only be alleged, with epidemics of addiction to legally prescribed drugs unfolding which we've seen in recent years, the question does unfortunately need to be asked. Unlike single use cases, addiction has potential for long-term revenue streams. The thing is, getting people up to health again quickly reduces revenue streams for a pharmaceutical business, and this would ultimately hurt a firm's bottom line. The thing is, whilst many conditions require ongoing treatment, including the prescription of drugs for years or even decades, this can be incredibly lucrative to pharmaceutical companies, and creates a reliable source of income that can be sustained over the long term. Whilst one could argue that a company benefiting from the greater good of humanity does deserve to make profits, one has to consider, with such a financial incentive there, brands could easily be corrupted, as we've seen in many industries before, and people would simply get pushed to the back and profits would become king. On top of this, another unconventional point to consider is that the development of new drugs is extremely expensive, and could take years or even decades to bring to the market. Creating drugs that are addictive means that pharmaceutical companies can create a reliable source of income to offset the costs of research and development. And this sounds incredibly dark, but this is simply how big business can be sometimes. A company's reputation and market share is everything to greedy executives, and some brands reflect this in their operations, offsetting financial costs at the expense of the people. And on top of this, some evidence also suggests that pharmaceutical companies may be more interested in creating new markets for their products than actually addressing the medical needs. Essentially, by creating drugs that are addictive, pharmaceutical companies can create a sense of demand for their products, even if they may not be necessary for treatment of a specific condition. Again, looking back at the opioid crisis, pharmaceutical companies marketed their opioids as safe and effective treatments for chronic pain, even though there were better alternative treatments available, which could have been safer and more effective. This effectively resulted in mass addictions to prescription drugs at the hands of what you may call questionable marketing. And this just goes to show what big pharmaceutical companies can do. Ultimately, it all boils down to money. And whilst a pharmaceutical company has provided many life-saving treatments in the past, there's also now a growing concern that some companies are more interested in creating long-term dependence on products than actually preventing or curing disease. By keeping people addicted to their products, pharmaceutical companies could create a reliable source of income, which can help to offset the costs of research and development. As patients, therefore, it's important to be aware of the potential risk of over-reliance on prescription drugs, and to make sure that we work with our healthcare providers to find the most safe and effective treatments for our individual needs. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one, once more looking at the evil within another industry. Tell me what you thought to this one down in the comments